In this report, I explain my warning, travel rents will rise rapidly before stabilizing. Then I'll propose possible solutions for you. We have continued our world travels during the coronavirus. I decided to write this report to warn you about some troubles I see on the horizon for both domestic and international travelers. I've traveled the world for 14 years, 65 countries, never with a return ticket. I always move forward. So I know a thing or two about trying to find nice, cheap places to live as I go. But I have some bad news to share with you today. Rents may begin to rise rapidly over the next few months and may remain unstable for many months before they are likely to stabilize again. There are a number of reasons why this is happening. Decreased rental inventory. During the early stages of the pandemic lockdown, many vacation rentals went vacant. Landlords responded by lowering prices in some areas. Despite lower prices, many rentals around the world remained vacant. Despite the lower prices, people were not traveling. So after a few months in many parts of the world, landlords began to rent their vacation homes to local tenants. Since the locals usually have less discretionary income, the landlords have been experiencing lower rents from the locals. Locals earn local wages and simply cannot afford to pay what international tenants were paying, but it was better than nothing for the landlords during this period. That means that some significant portion of the inventory in the hot tourist spots is now in long-term leases. So as the vaccinated world opens up for the international traveler, there are fewer properties available for arriving foreigners. So the available tourist inventory has shrunk and the floodgates of travel are about to open. Thus, the very few landlords that still have vacancies will be able to raise their prices because of this sudden international demand returning. Landlords stuck in long-term leases with locals at local prices will not be able to immediately respond and increase the supply. So prices are likely to increase and remain high for months until existing leases expire and more property becomes available. Another factor is likely to destabilize the rental market, which is an increase in the number of long-term international travelers. Increased long-term international travelers. Many companies around the world sent their employees home to work during the pandemic. Those employees have been working from home during most of the lockdown. During that time, many of the employers have decided to reduce the size of their offices. So some employers are going to let their employees continue to work from home even after everyone has been vaccinated. Many of the people working from home have been watching YouTube videos. They have learned that they can work from anywhere in the world so long as there is a stable internet connection. Some employers may try to resist letting their employees travel the world as they work from their laptops, but those employers will quickly change their mind as they watch their best employees quit their jobs to work for travel-friendly employers, which is probably going to end up being most of them. There are millions of employees all over the world that are about to start traveling the world as soon as they have their vaccine and can leave their home. That will create a huge demand for short-term rentals of 1 month. First in well-known travel hotspots, but later to many communities around the world as more of the world is discovered, connected, and made available to international traveling workers. This is an increased rental demand that is relatively new. There were international slow travelers before, such as retirees and digital nomads, but I'm talking about a much larger pool of people. People were sitting in cubicles all over the world before the lockdown. They now know that home can be anywhere in the world. They can work anywhere in the world with an internet connection. This will destabilize the rental prices around the world for months and possibly years until the supply of furnished short-term rentals can be created to meet this demand. So when will rents stabilize? Rents will stabilize when the supply of furnished short-term rental properties in each location in the world meets the demand created by the 4 kinds of international visitors. people on holidays, short-term international remote workers, retirees traveling the world, and foreigners establishing long-term retirement homes in foreign countries. Those 4 demands, once there's a supply, it will stabilize. The travel demand is likely to increase for at least a few years as people learn about the possibilities for arranging their life around living internationally. They need to learn that they can rent or sell their houses back home. They can homeschool or put their kids in international schools, or put their kids in virtual online schools they can attend from anywhere in the world. As people learn that traveling the world is actually possible before retirement, during their working years, and their friends and family watch them do it, the fear of the unknown is likely to decrease and more people will take the plunge. But before any market equilibrium is reached, there's likely to be a period of unpredictable rents caused by the growing demand in the face of a slower growing supply. So what are some of the potential solutions you can implement during the coming chaos? Potential solutions. So if you're planning to jump on a jet and travel the world over the next many months and years, you have to be more creative than you thought. You will be competing with more and more people for the best properties and the best locations. Eventually the inventory will stabilize, but it's difficult to know when that will be. So what are some of the potential solutions you may be able to implement in the meantime? Expect to pay more. Landlords that know how to market over the internet will be getting top dollar, yet you may still need to rent a place over the internet for your first few nights before you arrive in a place so you have somewhere to go when you get there. Once you're on the ground, you may be able to get better rates by talking to local landlords that are not so well connected and advertising over the internet. So you may need to just pay more until you can negotiate a better price with local landlords with your feet on the ground. So make sure your budget allows for high unexpected rental prices until you can find a better solution with your feet on the ground. Okay, feet on the ground. In an earlier video, I shared with you how online rents have been rising over the last few years and how you may need to put feet on the ground in order to get the best prices. Make sure to watch that video and read the steps on the webpage of that report. There's more steps in the written than there is in the video. How I find perfect apartments around the world. For more tips on how to avoid some of the fees associated with booking online and getting better daily and monthly rates. Okay, next, get off the beaten path. Some of the hot locations that people have been promoting online for a few years will have the most extreme pressure on rental prices. Those same areas often have the same high prices for other living expenses as well, such as restaurants, food, groceries, tours, etc. So during the coming time of too many travelers for so few apartments, think about getting off the beaten path, the tourist path. Visit smaller towns in more remote places. Visit places of natural beauty and less populated areas that have flown under the radar of the most popular YouTubers and travel bloggers. How would you do this? Change your search strings a little to find travel articles written by people that get off the beaten path, i.e. hidden towns of, where the tourists don't go, or towns nobody talks about. Think about ways that people would write their articles to tell you about more interesting places that are unknown. Then double check the places people recommend in these unknown articles to make sure they're not on everyone's best places to see list. Make sure to watch at least some videos and pictures of these unknown places to make sure they appeal to you. You can even use Google Earth to see what many of these places look like. Another source is travel bloggers that are driving through a country, driving through Central America, for example. They may show you quaint little places or unknown towns between popular places as they drive around. Then verify what rents are online in those gems, those hidden gems. In the end, you're still going to have to put feet on the ground to get the best prices. Do more research. Okay, join the Expat Facebook pages. By the way, expat stands for expatriate. That means somebody living outside their home country. Join the expat Facebook pages in the countries and cities you are interested in. Expats often take day trips and weekend trips to smaller towns, remote areas, and beautiful nature around the popular, well-known areas. Often these day trips are to beautiful places that may not be as well known and thus might be places to spend a few weeks or months that won't break your budget. Check Google Map and make a list of the small towns just an hour or two away from the hotspots. Then use the Facebook search tool explained in this video link provided and search on the small town names in the Facebook expat group to see if anyone has talked about each such town. Often they'll share information with each other on the pages. You can also search on Google for things to do in town name or on YouTube for videos of the town. Some of you may remember my friend Calvin in the Philippines, his YouTube channel, Sunshine Shoulders, that found a small town in the Philippines he loves called San Carlos, where his rent was less than half of my rent in Dumaguete. He found that town when he was riding a bus through that part of the Philippines and decided to stay. Next up, be willing to share. Early on in our travels, we used to rent just a room in people's home as we traveled the world. But now that we have a little more money, we'd like to get our own apartment whenever possible. But if you rent a room, you just share the kitchen and the Wi-Fi with someone that already lives there. We've had some of the best experiences living in a local's home with them. They'll often tell you all the great things to do in that town and help you solve problems in a much cheaper way because they have experience. We've made some lifelong friends that way. You can find a room in someone's home for rent on Airbnb, and sometimes in Facebook expat pages, there'll be a lot of locals that are even reading those. You may not need to do this for every city you visit, but there may be places that you desperately want to visit that are just too expensive to get your own apartment based on whatever your budget is. But don't be surprised if you end up enjoying it like we did. Back when we weren't making money with our travel hobby, it was a way we could stay in a much nicer home with more amenities and get to know other travelers. And we could stay within our budget in cities with apartments that were over budget. Our stays in Querétaro, Guadalajara, Mexico City, and San Cristobal were all greatly enhanced by the people we met by sharing living space. We always get our own bathroom and bedroom, but we share the living room and kitchen and the Wi-Fi, sometimes with locals, other times with other expats. We have never had a bad experience sharing our living space. Well, thanks for listening to this video and warning about the potential chaos coming up in rents as the vaccine propagates and more people jump on airplanes, whether it's from their home with a laptop because they can work remotely or because they're heading out to enjoy the world as retirees or on their holiday. You need to be prepared and think ahead. Thanks for watching this video. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. Please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of those actions would help our business grow. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our video. Click the link in the notes below this video to get a copy of this content. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of retired cheap reports all over the world and our hobby income course that we just released. Thanks so much.